What's good? It's Wrestle Kendi here. Today I'm going to be discussing the recent episode of Friday Night Smackdown. Finna get straight into it. Starts off with a Bloodline promo. Paul Heyman basically ends up saying that Solo sits at the head of the table. He's the new leader. And then he ends up mentioning how Tama Tonga is Solo Sikoa's right-hand man. Then Solo gets on the microphone. He ends up, once he get on the microphone, you get his Solo Sut chant. He ends up mentioning how Paul Heyman should be thanking Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. Paul Heyman thanks them both. Then Kevin Owens comes out. He comes out. Comes in the ring. He ends up getting jumped by the Bloodline. You know, the Bloodline has the numbers game against Kevin Owens. Then the Street Profits comes out. They come out, help Kevin Owens, and ends up making the save. And then well, they tried to make the save actually, but the Bloodline ended up getting the upper hand. But then Kevin Owens ends up recovering, brings out a steel chair, ends up taking out the Bloodline, and the good guys ends up standing tall, and this leads to a match for the main event, a 6-man tag match towards the end of the show. Now we get a tag team match between Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill versus Indy Hartwell, Candice LeRae. This was set up last week when Indy Hartwell was talking trash to Bianca Belair. Jade came in her defense. This sets up this match for tonight. This match was fairly quick. We already knew who was going to win. Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair pick up the victory. After the match, during the match actually, Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn ended up watching this match. I thought that they was gonna interfere in this match and cause a disqualification, but no, they didn't. They end up attacking them after the match. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark went after Jade Cargill, and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn went after Bianca Belair. After they attacked him though, both Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, and Shayna Baszler and Zoe Starks, both of them are in the ring and they're staring each other down. But each team has one set of the tag titles. Then they start looking at each other and then they end up brawling. But then Bianca and Jade ended up recovering, take out both tag teams. Bianca Belair hits the KOD. Almost forgot her finisher, but she ends up hitting the KOD, and then Jade Cargill ends up hitting the Jaded, and then they end up standing tall, and this would ended up leading to later on in the night where they end up confirming that this will be a triple threat tag team match between Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair versus Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler, and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn at Clash of the Castle. Can't wait to see how that happens. I assume this match can be really good or it could really disappoint, but I like the idea of having all 3 tag teams in there. I really think it could add a little bit of unpredictability, even though we know who's going to win, but it does add a bit more unpredictability to the match though. Now we get to a quick little segment with Apollo Crews. He was getting interviewed, but he got interrupted by Legado del Fantasma. They end up attacking him. They end up attacking Apollo Crews. It was supposed to be a match with him, but he ended up getting taken out. So we don't know if the match is going to happen next week. But I'm assuming the match probably would happen next week since it didn't happen this week. But Apollo Crews get attacked. This is just building on the feud with Legado del Fantasma. Now we get after this though, LA Knight comes out. He asks Nick all this about where's Logan Paul. Nick ends up saying that he's not there. LA Knight's not happy about that. He's not happy that that Logan Paul isn't there. Then Carmelo Hayes interrupts him like he's been doing the past few weeks. Ends up saying that you keep mentioning a guy that's not here. Why don't you talk about someone that is here? Referring to himself. And he ends up saying that he's been cooking LA Knight for the past few weeks. LA Knight ends up saying that Carmelo is right. How about we make it a match? So then they end up making it a match between LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes later on in the show. Now we get Johnny Gargano versus Grayson Waller. This was a decent match. Towards the end of though, Johnny Gargano ends up doing a suicide dive, but as Austin Theory was trying to help, Grayson Waller was picking him up. Grayson Waller ends up pulling Austin Theory to take the hit and ends up moving out the way. Ends up making Austin Theory take the suicide dive for him, and then takes advantage, ends up ramming Johnny Gargano towards the ring post, then throws him in the ring, hits his finisher, picks up the victory. So they're still building up, the dissension, the potential breakup of A-Town Down Under, with Austin Theory turning babyface, with Austin Theory constantly can't trust Grayson Waller, with Grayson Waller constantly using Austin Theory. I like what they're doing here. I like how they're slowly building this up. And I do think it's kind of time for them to end, in my opinion. I like them as a duo, but I do think it's time for them to be separate because they was always going to break out as single stars anyway. And they have been together for a while, and for the most part, they just been the other's baby faces punching bag for the most part. So we'll see how this goes. I do like what they're doing though. Now we get Cody and AJ Styles. Starts off with backstage where Cody was talking to Nick Aldis with security, mentions that AJ Styles will be pulling up in a minute. AJ Styles pulls up, but he has the OC with him. He pulls up in the truck. Cody Rhodes tries to come after him, but it's tons of security guards there. They're going back and forth, yelling at each other. Cody Rhodes ends up leaving, ends up going to the ring, but as he's leaving and running towards the ring, going through the backstage area, the camera is following him. They're doing the amazing camera shot of following the wrestler as they're running to the ring. I love that. He goes to the ring, instantly calls out AJ Styles. He's tired of the games. He's frustrated. He wants AJ now. Calls him out. AJ Styles comes out. He comes out with the OC. I love that he brought the OC with him because the OC are heels on NXT. Make them heels on the main roster. Then it could work. Comes out with the OC. Security is out there as well. AJ Styles basically ends up saying that he wants his title match. He don't want to face him. He don't want to face him on SmackDown. He wants to face him at Clash at the Castle. Cody Rhodes ends up agreeing, but he ends up saying that I'm going to make you say two words. I quit. And it's official. AJ Styles versus Cody Rhodes will be an I quit match. That was crazy. That was a shocking twist. I did not expect it to be an I quit match. I'm actually excited for this. That being an I quit match, it only makes it way more better. They could use weapon. They could do whatever, babe. They could do whatever. No disqualification. I love it. Love the idea. Can't wait for that. That match should be amazing. I can't wait. But then after this, though, security is trying to break them apart. Cody tries to fight security off. He's fighting them off, but security ends up getting the upper hand, holding him back. But then AJ Styles ends up running towards Cody and security, attacks him, and then backs off, and that's the end of the segment there. Love what they did here. Love that they showed Cody had that aggressiveness, that fire, that rage. I love that he was serious and not trying to be this good guy. I love that. Love AJ being that nasty heel, and I love that he has the OC with him because if it's the I Quit match, you could have the OC interfere in this match, giving Cody the disadvantage in the match, having him fight against the odds. You could have the OC interfere in that match as well, making it a little bit more unpredictable to see if Cody can win. But I can't wait to see how that plays out, though. Next, we get LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes. This was a solid match, decent. It was moments where the crowd was dead for this match. The crowd wasn't that entertained. But this match did what it needed to do. LA Knight picks up the victor off a roll-up pin. I'm curious to see how this plays out later on in the match. I'm very curious because this is the second match they had and LA Knight won both times. So I don't know if they're going to continue this feud. I feel like Carmelo could have won this match. I understand they're building LA Knight for Logan Paul. I get that. But the only thing I would say is this. If they are going to do that, I don't know how they would drag this towards SummerSlam because I know the next pay-per-view after this is Money in the Bank. I don't know if they could drag this feud. If they're going to have this match at SummerSlam, I don't know if you could drag it on that long. Now, you could have it at Money in the Bank, but my only question is, if you're going to do that, I don't see LA Knight winning at Money in the Bank because if you were just going to, because I really think they're going to pull the trigger at SummerSlam. You already have it in Logan Paul's hometown. You made him basically the poster child of that pay-per-view. It doesn't make sense to do all that just for him to lose the month before, the pay-per-view before, because who is Logan Paul is going to face or what he's going to do that's going to be that big in his hometown. I don't know, but we'll see how this plays out though. Next, get a quick little segment. Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. Tiffany Stratton ends up approaching Nia Jax, ends up saying that I have your back. You was my pick. You was my pick outside of herself of being the queen of the ring, and that I have your back in your matches. Nia Jax didn't say anything. She had a very confused look on her face, but she wasn't mad at the offer. Then Michin comes up and approaches Nia Jax. Nia Jax ends up saying that you should take AJ Styles' advice and actually retire. Michin ends up throwing a cup of water in her face. They end up brawling. Then security backs away. I like what they did here. Nice little segment. More women getting TV time. Michin getting some TV time on SmackDown. Thank God. Because they need to use that women's division. They need to use every woman on that division. On Raw and on SmackDown, to be honest. But I like what they did here. And I like I can see the potential help of Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax. I'm curious to see how that dynamic plays because they're so polar opposites of each other as heels. So I'm interested to see how that works as a duo though. Now we get Bailey, a Bailey segment, well, promo actually. Bailey promo, Piper Niven, and Chelsea Green comes out. Chelsea Green ends up coming out, basically calls Bailey a loser, mentions her recent matches that she lost. Then Bailey gets on the microphone, ends up saying that Piper doesn't need Chelsea Green, and ends up saying that she has a lot of respect for Piper, mentions the Mae Young Classics, the first time she saw her, ends up mentioning that she understands that the match that they're going to have at Clash of the Castle means more to her. It's in her home country that she don't want to lose in front of her fans and family. Then Piper ends up saying that she appreciates the respect, but the respect might actually go to she might take her respect to heart, but she doesn't know anything about me. She ends up saying that the Mae Young Classic happened in 2017, but she's been putting Scottish wrestling on the map since 2008. Mentions, Bailey hugger days. Ends up saying that while she was getting hugs and high fives, she was the one winning in the UK and Japan. Mentions how she was already established, already a champion before she got to the WWE, and that now she's about to be a champion in the WWE. Piper Niven impressed the hell out of me in this promo. I didn't think Piper Niven can actually cut a promo. I did it. Because Chelsea Green was always the microphone worker, the main talker in the backstage segment. Piper Niven shocked me as hell. And the funny thing is, I feel like she's better on the mic than she is in backstage segments, which is crazy. Piper Niven done a lot. I ain't gonna lie. This sold me on Piper. Now, she's not winning. We know that. But I ain't gonna lie. I would not be mad to see more Piper Niven in more singles action and more singles feuds because she was impressing me in this promo. She actually, I feel like she was the best promo worker in this entire segment right here. Bailey did good. Don't get me wrong. Bailey did a good job, but I feel like Piper did great work in this segment. I actually love what Piper did in this segment. She was really good. She didn't come off forced. She came out very natural. She talked not very slowly, but she talked slowly to get her words out, which I think was perfect. I like that she didn't try to rush it or anything. She did really good in this segment. I really like what she did. Now we get a Logan Paul segment. He finally responds to LA Knight, ends up saying that LA Knight isn't worth his time. He isn't worthy to get a shot at his championship. Logan Paul ends up saying that he only fights the best. He fights champions, which he hasn't done. He ends up saying that he hasn't done anything to prove himself. He ends up saying, look, not Kevin Owens, oh my God. LA Knight is a walking catchphrase and that he should stay in the mid card where he belongs, and ends up saying that with everybody saying Logan Paul, yeah. Logan Paul did great. Love what he did here. I love that he used his own catchphrase. He uses LA Knight catchphrase against him. I love what he did here because everything he technically said is technically true for the most part. Love what they did here. Interested to see how they built this up because, like I said, I don't know if you could drag this all the way to SummerSlam. Now, you could. The only way I see this working is if you have LA Knight and Logan Paul have a feud and Money in the Bank, and then you have Logan Paul win through cheating, and then LA Knight wins the second one. That's the only way I see this working because there's no way you're gonna drag this out through Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. I don't know if you can do that. I don't know if you could drag it on that long, but I'm interested to see how this plays out though. I love what they're doing though. Now we get a quick segment. Not going to speak too much on it. We get Naomi versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Naomi basically addresses what Chelsea Green said in her promo because Chelsea Green ended up sending shots at Naomi, calling her a loser. They end up going back and forth about the brawl. Nick Aldis breaks it up, ends up saying, do you want to have a match for next week in Glasgow? I'm assuming he means Smackdown because I'm assuming Smackdown will be in Glasgow, which would probably be pre-recorded most likely because I'm like, there's no way they're having Chelsea Green and Naomi at Clash of the Castle. There's no way they're doing that. So I'm assuming it's going to happen on next week's SmackDown, a pre-recorded show, I'm assuming. So next week, we're going to see Naomi versus Chelsea Green on SmackDown, I'm assuming. Now we get to the main event. Street Profits, Kevin Owens versus The Bloodline with Solo Sikoa. This was a solid match. Get towards the end of the match, though. Everyone's outside. Montez Ford is about to attack, but Solo Sikoa comes from behind and hits him with a chair, leads to a disqualification. Everyone is brawling. The Bloodline got the upper hand. They're attacking. Then the Bloodline ends up attacking Montez Ford. They bring Montez Ford in the ring, and they Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa ends up holding Montez Ford. Solo Sikoa was about to go for his Samoan spike, but he changed his mind, run towards the ropes, and hits him with a spear. Hits him with a spear. That was a very interesting, decision he made. Ends up hitting him with a spear. Then Kevin Owens tries to fight back, tries to fight the Bloodline back, but he ends up getting outnumbered. Then they get towards the announce table. They bring him towards the announce table. Tamaloa and Tama Tonga ends up lifting Kevin Owens. Solo Sikoa picks him up and ends up powerbombing him through the announce table, and that's how we end your SmackDown. This was a solid episode. I ain't gonna lie. At the beginning, I ain't gonna lie. The first Bloodline segment was kind of a disappointment because I was like, why do we need this? Like, it dragged on a bit too long for my liking. If they wanted to have, Street Profits and KO to come out, all they had to do was just talk trash about them. Then they come out and then they brawl. But at first I was like, this may be a bad SmackDown, but SmackDown turned out to be a good show. After that first segment, I love what they did here. This was great. I love that they ended up making a disqualification because I know why they did it, because you want to protect both parties. You don't want the Bloodline to lose, but you don't want KO and the Street Profits to lose. Good way to protect them, but this also makes them look dominant because I was like, we need the new Bloodline to look dominant. We need to be scared of them. We need to fear them. We need to show us why we should care about this faction, and I think they did just that, showing their dominance, showing how ruthless they can be. I love what they did here. This was a solid episode of Friday Night SmackDown. But you guys, let me know what you guys thought. Leave your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know what you think of the build of Clash of the Castle. Let me know if you're excited for Clash of the Castle. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, that's it.